Chapter 3, text 27, 3rd canto, chapter 27, text 10. Niritya Avasthano Duribhutanya Darshana Upalabhyatmanatmanam Chakshu Shivarkam Atmadrik. Translation: one should be situated in the transcendental position, beyond the stages of material consciousness, and should be aloof from all the other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Consciousness acts in 3 stages under the material conception of life. When we are awake, consciousness acts in a particular way. When we are asleep, it acts in a different way. And when we are in deep sleep, consciousness acts in still another way. To become Krishna conscious, one has to become transcendental to these 3 stages of consciousness. Our present consciousness should be freed from all perception of life other than consciousness of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Duribhutanya Darshana, which means that when one attains perfect Krishna consciousness, he does not see anything but Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that the perfect devotee may see many movable and immovable objects, but in everything he sees that the energy of Krishna is acting. As soon as he remembers the energy of Krishna, he immediately remembers Krishna in his personal form. Therefore, in all his observation, he sees Krishna only. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that even when one's eyes are smeared with love of Krishna, Premanjana Churita, he always sees Krishna outside and inside. This is confirmed here, and one should be freed from all other vision, and in that way he is freed from the false egoistic identification and sees himself as the eternal servitor of the Lord. Chakshushavarkam, as we can see the sun without a doubt, one who is fully developed in Krishna consciousness sees Krishna and his energy. By this vision one becomes Atmadrik, or self-realized. When the false ego of identifying the body with the self is removed, actual vision of life is perceivable. The senses therefore also become purified. Real service of the Lord begins when the senses are purified. One does not have to stop the activities of the senses, but the false ego of identifying with the body has to be removed. Then the senses automatically become purified, and with purified senses one can actually discharge devotional service. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swam Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gunavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashkavati Desatarana. One should be situated in a transcendental position, beyond the stages of material consciousness, and should be aloof from all the other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self as he sees the sun in the sky. So, of course, this is the ultimate vision of Paramahamsa, a perfect Krishna conscious person. One may ask, so until one develops such a perfect vision, what should be our vision? As a reason, while in Krishna consciousness our vision is uncovered or purified by the dint of somebody who has that vision. So there are traps on the way because Krishna is simultaneously one and different from his creation. This is confusing to those who want to see as everything being one. How does it manifest in our life? We have no experience of being one and different from something. So therefore, we either say it's only me or it's all one. But Krishna conscious person, he is removing that problem more and more by removing his vision, changing his vision from this is me and this is mine to this is Krishna's and I am Krishna's as well. So sometimes people are afraid that in Krishna consciousness you lose your identity. But as we see here, and we can read it very clearly, no, you will see your real self in Krishna consciousness. How? By abstaining from all the concepts we got educated into and we saw in the past. Prabhupada said in order to become Krishna conscious, you have to forget everything what you heard before you came. Everything. That's pretty heavy. And then you have devotees who don't want to forget everything. They want to mix it. Something material, something spiritual. Because their desire is not purified yet. So they have both material desire and some spiritual desires also there. That's called Kama Mishra Bhakti. It's a bhakti, but mixed with Kama, with one's own lusty desires. That we see all the time. All the time. All the, you could say, mundane-oriented religions even, they carry this message. You worship God so you can be actually happy now, here in this world. But when you look into the scriptures, their own scriptures, they carry a different message. I heard quotes even from Bible where it stated, this world is like a bridge. And nobody builds houses on a bridge. We have to bridge it over. Yeah? There are many statements. Quran, well, I don't know if I should quote that, but it's described that when you are a good Muslim, you will go to heaven. Same thing like Christians. And there will be thousands and thousands of virgins you can have sex with. A great heaven, isn't it? So, yeah. So this is all material expectations projected into spiritual life. And that creates trouble. There is still false ego strong enough to shine through the spiritual desires that manifest in a desire for name, fame, profit, yeah. I could go very much in detail, but we had all, practically every older devotee had experience encountering these kind of things. What can people in the name of Krishna consciousness do to you for money? And I was lucky. I joined this movement, nobody had anything. When I joined this movement, everybody did the same, regardless of his nature. He was preaching. Everybody. If you didn't preach, you could go home. Preaching what? I didn't know anything and I was already preaching. Why? Well, I could distribute a book. I could do some service without even knowing this by following the example of others. So I was already engaged in devotional service before I even knew it. That's called Agyata Sukriti. We don't know, but we are already doing this. So, and much of Krishna consciousness is like that. Before we understand more and the full volume, we can never understand actually, the full volume of the mercy and of what was given to us by Srila Prabhupada, Oh, well, we can study the whole life. You discover always, wow, what did I got here? This is Krishna consciousness. And it's exciting. It's really exciting. So, false ego is always there in the back. Why? Because we have the real ego. Though these two egos are the false ego is nothing else as a perverted reflection of the real ego. The whole material world is actually a reflection of the spiritual world. To give an example. Once I spoke to an interesting godbrother about the constant troubles grihastas are experiencing with their wives, and it starts like a nectar, it ends up like poison. We know that path. So, why is there so much, conflict? You see a new people falling in love. Few weeks later, it's already a conflict. It's there, built in. How can we change it? You know what he did to me? He opened his eyes and said, "Are you not reading Nectar of Devotion?" I was going, what has this to do with that? He said, well, in Nectar of Devotion, you find description of all the rasas in the spiritual world, and most of them are negative, not positive. Radharani wants to see Krishna, he disappears. Krishna wants to see Radharani, well, she is hesitant. Radharani is accusing Krishna. The gopis are accusing Krishna. You are now in Dwaraka enjoying the company of these fancy ladies. No wonder, we are just as simple village girls, It's constantly there, the tension. In the middle of the rasa dance, Krishna disappears. Gopis go, what happened? First he invites us to the forest here to dance, which is beautiful, and then he disappears. It's constantly this tension going on there. Well, in a perverted way, in a mirror type of fashion, it's reflected into our lives. There are even people who know that. They go, if you want some good conflict, get married. Get married if you want some conflict. They know this. They see it happening. Yeah? So, this is part of life. And then people try to cover it up with this sentimental, all is love, and all you need is love, and blah, 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 blah. But without Krishna consciousness, it's just talk. Because the false ego is still there. It's still there. My way, not your way. I'm now here. I am the chosen one to tell you the truth. I don't know, it's maybe too daring to say such a thing, but whoever I heard in ISKCON saying, I am the only chosen one, after Prabhupada fell down. I saw so many chosen ones you cannot imagine. And again another one comes. This is the way. I'm the chosen one, follow me. After some years, you don't hear anything. Boop. What happened to the chosen one? And it's dangerous actually to join Krishna consciousness, because dealing with devotees, it's not like dealing with kamis. Depends on a caliber, depends on the status of the devotee, depends how he is established in Krishna consciousness in Krishna's eyes. Not in the institutional eyes, not in the designation, according to designation, but according to what Krishna really thinks. So to make an offense is dangerous, because the very heavy word Vaishnava aparat is usually used by people who commit lots of Vaishnava aparat. That's also something. As a hungry man always talks about food, the cruel man will always talk about love. The asocial man will always talk about counseling and coming together. So the man full of offenses, you know how you realize somebody did lots of offenses? He's always talking about forgiveness. We have to forgive. We have to forgive. Forgive everything. We have to forgive and love and forgive. Because he must have committed something very heavy in the past and it's projected into his preaching. People who really love, people who really forgive, people who really are Krishna conscious, they have no need to stress a particular things too much. They stress only one thing: we should see Krishna everywhere. And when you see Krishna everywhere, in everything, then suddenly all these problems become removed. How you are not committing offenses to others? Because you see them as a part of Krishna. Problem solved. How can you? Because you know, this is part of Krishna. If I offend this, I'm offending Krishna actually. It's not like we are Krishna, but we are his parts. So immediately, therefore Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, the only lack is lack of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise nothing is lacking. No socially, no even economically, no emotionally, nothing is lacking. Everything is included in Krishna consciousness, but with Krishna as the center. That was Prabhupada's message. And he didn't become very popular with that. And he got even accused that he doesn't have that vision. You should see everything, everybody equal with equal vision. Samadarshana. Prabhupada said, no, I am not Samadarshana. I am discriminating. Demon, devotee, innocent, confused. So really who Paramahamsa, as I mentioned in the beginning, therefore he doesn't really preach because he sees everybody already as a part of Krishna in whatever position he is. Madhyamadikari, that's the level Prabhupada was educating us into. He is discriminating. This is a demon, avoid. This is a devotee, very nice. And this is a confused one, innocent. Let's help him to become more Krishna conscious. That's Madhyamadikari. And Uttamas Adhikaris come down from their platform to teach us to preach as Madhyamadikari. Also Srila Prabhupada in both shapes. Madhyamadikari marching on a beach, The only missing link in the scientific world is my kick in your face. That's missing. Slap him. Attack him. That kind of part of Prabhupada is not very much advocated nowadays. Already the photos. I see always the photos. All glories, and I'm grateful for every preaching program. But sometimes they always put pictures of me smiling. I'm not smiling all the time. Not at all. If you want to, you wouldn't like to see me angry. I don't like to see myself angry. What to speak of yourself? I look like Hitler reincarnated in his worst days. I don't like to see that Manidhara. No. But that feature is also there. There is a features, and actually I love these photos also very much. Prabhupada being very angry. You can say, how is that possible? He's Paramahamsa. How can he be like that? Because he was angry in a frame of devotional service. That's Paramahamsa. He said, Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to make him finally angry. Because how can you fight if you are not angry? So anyway, Krishna conscious anger is controlled and it's engaged in service of Krishna. One devotee told Prabhupada, I'm falling down all the time. I'm getting angry. Prabhupada said, what's wrong with that? Anger is very good if it depends how much. It's a dangerous thing to deal with, just to be controlled. Uncontrolled anger, not so good. So this requires a certain training. It requires a certain training to see Krishna everywhere, because Maya always comes and tells you, oh, this is Krishna consciousness, yeah. But this is not Krishna. No, this is not Krishna. She even tells you, actually, it's more real to be in Maya, isn't it, as to be in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness, you do all the strange things you never did before. You go Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Did you ever do that before? No. You eat differently, you move differently, you speak differently. Everything is different. Kind of unnatural, isn't it? Yeah. You have to paint something on the nose. I remember first time I saw tilak, I got horrified. When I saw devotees, I thought, this is something you burn, like you burn the marks in cows, the cowboys, they burn the marks. And you are initiated. I said, no, I will not do that. And then one devotee laughed, he said, come on, it's just a piece of earth. You go like this and whoop, whoop, whoop. I was going, oh, that sounds much better. Yeah, this is good, this is good. This is like external things, which everything is different. Every devotee is different, very different. Yeah. I could give you right now a description how you look like. You will be amazed. If you wouldn't be devotees, I would be scared. Sorry, Manchita, but meeting you, being no devotee, I would be scared. Especially when you are shaved. And you have this very heavy look. I would go, who is this? What is he on? Yeah? And you walk like a soldier or something like that, Hare Krishna. You have a quite deep voice, not aggressive, but, well, I could tell you how you look like. You look to me like somebody who never grew up. You look like a boy. With the skirt and cooking. I was going, it's kind of softy, isn't it? It's softy. Who are you? Haribol. I don't know you at all, but you look strange with these close eyes together and with these heavy eyebrows here. I would go, who is this? I tell you exactly, that's how it looks like. Now, here we have someone with the most soft-hearted person I met in my life, called Lamanchita Das. Here the one most determined, heavy person, called Markandeya Rishi, who is going to do serve Krishna every day. And this one also. And you, I don't know, but you look to me like serious devotee. Not easy to believe Krishna consciousness, no. Otherwise, I don't know you at all. So, this is the real thing. We have another vision. And I dare to, in this small, I can dare to do this, but I can do it even in a public program. It's not so difficult to see how people look like and how they really are. Especially when they are interested in Krishna consciousness. And it's very deceiving. Some people, they look very sweet and they speak beautiful language. Actually, they speak exactly what you want to hear. Very appealing to your false ego. People think, oh, he understands my heart. No, he understands my false ego. That's what it is. That's called cheater. And they are professionals, really. They know. One of these cheaters, he told me, I know how to speak the language of my customers. But he was actually cheating in the right direction. Sorry. I was not critical because he was using his ability to get under people's skin, and turn them towards Krishna consciousness. But it's dangerous. You get very comfortable by controlling people. We are not controlling anybody. We are preaching and educating people to learn to see themselves as the sun in the sky, as is described here. To see your real self, free of all this falsity and concepts and duplicity and all this rubbish we collected while we lived in this material world, in this material body. So things are very different when you see it in Krishna conscious way. The body is, that's what we got from our mother and our father, When I look in the mirror, I go like, whoa. I look more like my grandmother, So, and I didn't like her. No, I didn't like my grandmother. She was always howling and complaining, and I don't like that. So, So it doesn't matter how, this is all deceiving. So it's actually beautiful to see in Krishna consciousness things as they are, we as we are, and we have some practical platform to act upon as we are. Not what we think, not our concept is, This is Kali Yuga. Everybody has a concept. And he brings that concept even into Krishna consciousness. I think, according to my opinion, I believe I should serve Krishna like this. Prabhupada said, as soon as somebody starts with these three things, I think, I believe, and in my opinion, he should stop. I'm not interested what you think, what is your opinion, and what you believe. Why? Because it can change. How many devotees falling in Maya I met? I tell them, but you were preaching this and now you are living this. Well, I think, I believe, in my opinion, I changed. This is my judgment. Or they even say, I improved. I'm not the one-sided fanatic. Hare Krishna. Now I am more liberal. I can be a little bit in Maya. A little bit Krishna consciousness. Isn't it that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, don't suppress your nature? So I'm a little bit lusty, little bit Krishna conscious, Krishna is loving, he will forgive me, and he must forgive me, because he's loving. That's problem with us, because we have here battlefield of Kurukshetra. Well, Krishna's forgiveness was not so great, isn't it? Arjuna wanted to forgive. Krishna said, no. They're already dead. Even if you don't fight, they are dead. By my opinion. I'm God, So they are dead. Even they are standing here, getting ready to fight. They're already dead. You can be just a tool. It's already decided. Not so forgiving, isn't it? People have problems when they get hold of our philosophy. I am one of my godbrothers. He was a peace activist, in times of Vietnam War, Peace, peace, peace. There was a slogan, they said, make babies, no war. That was one of the mantras the peace activists chanted. These idiots didn't understand that making babies is also some kind of war. But anyway, so make babies, no war. So he was one of these. And then he accidentally came, Prabhupada was just finishing the lecture. So he just dropped in the door and wow, there was a Swami sitting there and speaking very strongly. And then, he sat down, he was very fascinated to see this. And then he heard what the Swami is saying. You must surrender to God. You have to do what God says. And when God says, kill, you must kill. 3 times Prabhupada repeated it. It's recorded. And he was like shocked. He said, this is a holy man from India. And he's preaching this. So he was so fascinated he couldn't leave. He was actually so upset that he didn't leave. So immediately after the lecture he approached Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was very approachable. And he said, Swamiji, sorry, but you really mean we should kill people? And Prabhupada very nicely looked at him very confidently. He said, that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. When this is his order, we must do that. But it must come from Krishna. We cannot decide. Krishna is deciding. And the principle of Krishna consciousness is that we do what Krishna wants us to do. And then he explained more the whole spectrum of devotional service, including the fact that Arjuna was a soldier. Not everybody is a soldier, no. The book is spoken to a soldier. His service was killing. Our service is preaching. But Prabhupada was saying, we can do anything for Krishna. And then this visiting, young man was so fascinated, he joined immediately. He thought, this is amazing. This is amazing. And how bold this man is. He is saying it in the middle of the anti-war movement to hippies who are totally anti-war people. Love and peace, right? He's saying this into their faces. Because Prabhupada was so clearly just reflecting Krishna's opinion, not moving 1 inch. Prabhupada said himself, he said, if I really show them what Krishna consciousness is and I will be bold, well, I expected they will say, Swamiji, very nice, now you can go back on that boat and go home. Prabhupada said it like that. I actually didn't expect it even that they will accept this. But because Prabhupada was so pure and he was so dedicated, he vocabulary dragged the purity, from those who came who were potentially pious, who were potentially actually ready to receive what he has given. This requires qualification on both sides. But Prabhupada, by his purity, he not demanded, but he commanded authority. They were so ignorant, I tell it so many times, that story. It says when Prabhupada said, we must have a guru who will teach us to see Krishna everywhere. We must have a spiritual master. They asked Prabhupada, where do we find him? Where do we find him? Prabhupada didn't say anything. He actually cried. He said, my spiritual master saved me. And they realized, oh, maybe he is the guru. He came to save us. And then one disciple asked, this hippie, he asked Prabhupada, maybe you are the guru. Prabhupada said, if you think so. And it was established, Swamiji is our guru. Now what you do with that? Nobody knew. How do you worship a guru? Nobody knew how to do that. So they were looking into this Mayavadi books, how do gurus look like? And they saw this picture of this Mayavadi guru sitting on his big Vyasasans, with garlands, and they're going, oh yeah, that's how we are going to worship our guru. Yes? That's how we are going to worship him. So, the Vyasasan production started. Far out creations, the first Vyasasans, you can see it sometimes on photos, sometimes they just didn't build anything, they just put cushions, like huge pile of cushions, with a canopy over it, like some sheikh, some Arabic, very colorful, because hippie means colorful. So, and Prabhupada sits on this cushions, with the books in front of him, with this canopy, like a sheikh. That's one of the Vyasasans. When they finally did a Vyasasan in England for him, that's the Victorian style. In Victorian architecture, you find lots of these small, towers like this. It's like many, many small, towers like this. So the Vyasasan look like that. You get many of these things like towers, big. When Prabhupada saw it, he smiled and he said, this is not a Vyasasan for me. This is for Lord Shiva. I don't know why he said Lord Shiva. And devotees were kind of confused. And then he sat on this big Vyasasan, and they gave him a garland, they knew that. And the garland kind of slipped like a Brahmin's thing. And Prabhupada said, now I'm Lord Shiva. He was kind of joking. Prabhupada never established his own worship, really. He always preached on principle. Why you should accept spiritual master, in principle, how you should worship him, in principle, why you should follow him. It sounds a little bit maybe impersonal, but the principle cannot be violated. There is a reason for everything. It's not a concept. Concept results in personal cult. Oh, look, he's floating. We have a concept what Guru is, and we project it into him. Somebody sent me just yesterday a wonderful manual how Guru can fall down. It's like, we saw it unfortunate. This is based on real experience. We saw it unfortunately happening. How can Guru fall down? He accepts the concept of those people who come and worship him. In other words, he is deriving the identity from the followers. But actually the principle is exactly opposite. The followers should learn who they are from him, not that he is reconfirmed in his concept by their concept. This is all already cheating. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he was not indiscriminately collecting disciples. He preached Krishna consciousness. You want to become part of it, you can become a disciple. You don't want to be part, and he lost some disciples also because they tune out of it again. So there is Krishna consciousness, and the Guru must be in it, the disciple also. One line, all of it. And then it's always a tendency to deviate. It can happen on both sides. The Vedic culture actually got destroyed by Brahmanas speculating. Kali Yuga entered, and there are symptoms of Kali Yuga. We have some of them described in Bhagavatam, but there are also more subtle symptoms. Like one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga is, therefore, some small detail, not so important things. Big discussion comes, a big conflict, big argument. For a small thing. And the big thing, we forget, not so important. The big thing is, what is the big thing? In our case, distribute Prabhupada's books, make the holy name public in the name of Harinam, and distribute prasadam. 3 things. Quite easy to do, actually, but very important. And the purity is going to show us the result, not something fancy changing. So many adjustments, such as people like us. Sometimes devotees tell Prabhupada, when we go out, people get upset. They don't like us. And Prabhupada says, we are not chanting for the people. We are chanting for Krishna. And it's up to them if they like it or not. We will do it anyway. Prabhupada said, look, I came here, I start to preach. Nobody invited me. You didn't invite me. I just did it because I did it for Krishna and my Guru. That's it, period. So sometimes devotees look like very stubborn and very unchangeable. And when you do like this, people will not like you. I heard even somebody, my godbrother tried to preach to me like this. Well then, if you say this, then people do not like you. And I said, well, I'm not actually saying this, I'm just repeating what Prabhupada said, sorry. And I found out some devotees like it. And some not so much. Why? Well, there's always an inclination to develop a new Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, there is nothing new. It's the same. But according to time, place and circumstances, this is something we have to take sometimes in consideration and adjust the priorities. What will be the priorities? A practical example. I give a practical example. I can go around and say, what? I heard you eat chocolate. You're a demon. Prabhupada said, no chocolate. He said that. But that particular gentleman is a pedophile or criminal or killed somebody, that's a kind of detail, isn't it? Come on. So first, let's address the heavy stuff. And that even quite few of ISKCON leaders eat chocolate. Yeah, okay, I'm not losing faith on that ground, okay? Why? But why should I eat it? I don't need it. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I'm almost allergic to chocolate because cacao is actually it's poison, you know that? Did you ever cook with cacao or did you use cacao in a pure form? Poor. I had a practical experience. Anyway, I'm not going to go in detail, become again autobiographic, but I had a practical one. It's such an acidic powder, you cannot imagine. It eats the color away from the walls. It's concentrated cacao. It's just so heavy. Just by breathing it, you start coughing. So for me, it's like I have a problem with I have a weak bronchitis parts here. So just by chocolate, it's just immediately attacking my breathing system. Simple. I'm lucky. If I would drink alcohol, my stomach flips out immediately. So much acid. But you get used. It's a propaganda. They train everybody on this. Yeah? But you don't need it, really. You don't need these things. No child is actually born. Children like sweets, we know that. But, you know how many sweets we have in our kitchen? Many. Oh my God, I got flooded by sweets when I joined this movement, Yeah? From gulab jamuns over jalebis and halwa, it's all sweet, like anything. And Krishna says, even in the Bhagavad Gita, it's a wholesome, healthy, sweet and fatty food. It's stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Well, for some people like me, it's actually killing me. If I would follow this Bhagavad Gita, this part of Bhagavad Gita, I would be like this and couldn't breathe, Some people can do that. They go just one sweet after another. They go, very nice. So, I'm sorry. So sweet, what is the problem? We have options for everything. So why should we always discuss these issues? Cannot we change a little bit? Swadra Swami once, he said, the time will come, people will start to love us. Because we drink beer without alcohol, cigarettes without nicotine, and then he said something else I'm not going to repeat. He was always very graphic. Let's adjust everything. But why should we do that? Why should we imitate the kamis? No, we have our own perfect and wonderful way. We have alternatives for everything. So Prabhupada said, why they drink always alcohol? We drink the holy name. All the time. Prabhupada said, we are the drunkards. We are drunkards of the holy name. What is the result? We become happy and they become miserable. That's what it is. Don't you see the result? Don't you see the effect? It's clear. It's very evident. No, they will not do it. Because as we just read today, everybody has a concept, idea, by false ego. And when we come to Krishna consciousness, we try to maintain even that. I will be Krishna conscious my way. And sometimes, in the Vedic times, reading of these books we have, even chanting of the holy name was forbidden. Was forbidden for Shudras, Mlekshas, low-class man. Forbidden. Why? Because they will immediately misuse it and understand it their own way. They have concept. Whereby a real devotee or a Brahminical person, he always tries to see things Krishna's way. And he takes guidance, he takes references, and he is under an authority. Now people really don't like authority in Kali Yuga, and the more they don't like authority, they become victimized by an authority. What do always the dictators preach to people? I will make you free. Let's be free, free, free. Oh, it's the same preaching. Communists said that, capitalists said that, fascists said that. Let's be free. What was the result? More slavery. So this is Maya talking. In Krishna consciousness, we are volunteer, some people say, slaves of Krishna, and we are ecstatic. I remember in German anti-sect movement, I grew up in Germany, in Krishna consciousness, they always published the same picture. Devotees paying dandavats in front of the Vyasasana. That was the proof they are finished. They lay down, no concept, no thinking, no independence, no freedom. That's the proof they are all brainwashed. Finished. Always the same picture came up. Yeah, but they are bowing down every day to something and somebody. Very much. Please, can I have a little sex life? Please, 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 can I have a little more money? Please, please. They are all the time humiliated, all the time. And devotees, they go on the street and sometimes they sing, you are so puffed up. How can you say that? I'm a slave of Krishna. Huh? You look so puffed up. What is puffed up? Well, you don't accept what I say. Well, say something. Well, I just was thinking, in my opinion, I said, oh, this is very interesting. This sounds very intellectual, isn't it? We are democracy. Can you say something also? I want to say something too. Okay, say something. Oh, that was really interesting. Somebody else wants to? And then you collect this. And then you say, see, we are in majority. It sounds a little bit heavy, isn't it? Some people get upset. But this is Kali Yuga and this is democracy. Just you see, we are so many. And you few with your Krishna consciousness. People don't like you. Join us. You must join us. We are more. Well, yes, stupidity is always the majority. That's a rule in Kali Yuga. The majority is always the stupidity. And the intelligent, sober, dignified ones, they retreat very often. It's described in Bhagavatam, at the end they will live in caves. They will just retreat, going, okay, I'm not going to be part of this. That's the problem. That if you want to find intelligent people, you have to always go to the minority. Because they don't, fools dash not in, fools dash in where the angels don't dare. To the angels there will be always minority. Fools, many will dash in. Cheated over and over again. So we are not the majority. Prabhupada said, even historically spoken, the majority was controlled always by the minority. Once Prabhupada, I don't know why they did that, but they took him on a morning walk to zoo. I don't know why. So they walked through the zoo, Prabhupada was chanting, and there was these animals in cages, and zoo, yeah? And when they came out, Prabhupada said, so what did we learn today? devotees were going, well, we learned about the penguins and the tigers and the lions, and Prabhupada said, I saw it also. But did we really learn today? Nobody knew an answer to that. Prabhupada said, what we learned today, all these powerful animals being in the cages here, very powerful, much more powerful as a human being, are controlled by a human. Everybody of them is controlled. Why? By superior intelligence. That's where the control comes from. But that was a simple principle Prabhupada gave. So he said, it's not a question of majority, it's a question of intelligence. And Prabhupada said, we can give people intelligence on basis of our books. And we can give people a way to see themselves free of concepts and designations based on false ego. There's some questions or comments to this, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Loud, you have to scream at me, I like it.
Thank you very much. How do we know if we want to connect to Paramatma? How do we know it's Paramatma speaking and not the mind?
That's a very good question. Very simple. This is the duty of the spiritual master to reconfirm that. Spiritual master is called the external manifestation of Paramatma, of the Super Soul. Quite heavy challenge, isn't it, for the spiritual master? So, by following the instruction of spiritual master, we are connected to Paramatma. Hopefully, should be like that. This is especially relevant in our case. How many times I hear devotees telling me, oh, I know, Krishna told me. Oh, I know, look how Krishna showed me. I cannot relate to it very much. I don't live like that. Even Krishna can show me, yes. I'm sometimes amazed. It's just amazing, how this little Manidhara and Krishna can still see me, He can see everybody. He cares. He definitely cares. You think, ooh, there are so many souls, and there are so many amazing devotees. And then Manidhara, and he's still caring for them. He does. But how do I know? I seek reference. Maya can come also. Me also, Hare Krishna. Me, look, I'm Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said Maya is a pure devotee. She comes even in the temple. She joins also. Hare Krishna! I'm a new bhakti in here. And devotees go, wow, look at this. What a devotion. It's one clever man, he said, devil is not stupid. You think he will show up as an open atheist? No. He will join your movement as a perfect bhakta. And he will go, what a devotional what a devotion here. And he will go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then, according to the innocence and simplicity of the devotees, he will start to unfold his agenda. Very dangerous. Prabhupada was alert. How is it possible? He writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are many, many demons joining this movement. Stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When I read it, I was going, what? It takes me a long time to call somebody a demon. But, yeah, I can do that finally, yes. Because his activities are so demoniac. It always comes up, sooner or later. They say God's mills, you grind grain with mills. They grind slowly but precisely. So it always comes up. Prabhupada said, you can cheat many people for a short time. You can cheat few people for a long time, but you cannot cheat everybody all the time. No. It will be always exposed. Even sometimes you think, oh, such a cheating, so long time. Krishna couldn't please, can you speed it up? That always come out. Krishna is in charge. So the devil always comes out, but we try to prevent that on the way so many will be deviated and cheated. So one has to be alert. How? Seeking reference. In my time when I joined, what was the reference? Prabhupada said. Everybody was quoting this. And if you didn't start, Prabhupada said, you were finished. Not I said, I think, I feel. No. Prabhupada said. But that can be also used and misused also, especially in Prabhupada's absence. When Prabhupada was present, nobody would dare to use him. Prabhupada was amazing. He knew some of his followers they would like to use him. That mentality is always there. And Prabhupada allowed himself to be used to some degree, and then came the stop. And some disciples left, yeah. They realized, I cannot use him. He is useless. Then they went out and started their own movement, like example. It happens. It happened, Prabhupada's presence. One of them he asked Prabhupada, can I have your blessing to start my movement? What a stupid question. Prabhupada said, yes, go ahead. But we will see the result. Let's compare the result of my movement and your movement, okay? Prabhupada was so non-envious, it was unbelievable. Such a betrayal, such an offense. But Prabhupada was still, maybe Krishna will bless it. How do we know? Let's give Krishna a chance. Let be Krishna deciding, okay? But you need a spiritual master for that. You need a reference. And then, Krishna can speak to you through, devotees. There's Diksha, there is Shiksha. If you are serious, you will get a serious guidance. I was guided in my Krishna consciousness mostly by godbrothers. I never got a direct instruction of Prabhupada. Of course, as a response to my book distribution, Prabhupada wrote me a letter. I never wrote him a letter. He wrote me a letter. So that was for me indication that actually I am on the right track and I should try to please him this way. But Prabhupada never talked to me directly, nothing. But my godbrothers did. My authorities, which I identified as being authorized by Prabhupada. And they were authorized by Prabhupada, but everybody has a free will. They could also deviate from that instruction, especially in absence of Prabhupada. So they deviated, some of them. But the instructions they gave me on that particular point was very valuable. I'm eternally grateful to them for that. Because, you see, others can very often see much better who we are as we do. Because we still carry these concepts, with us. I am like this, and I am like that. But others can see, Therefore, Varnashrama Dharma is very often not a popular issue. You know why? Because it demands absolute honesty and introspection. No cheating. I'm a Shudra, I have Shudra body. So you act like Shudra, sure. I'm Vaishya, you act like Vaishya. I am Kshatriya, you act like Kshatriya. And I'm Brahmana, you act like Brahmana. And when somebody says, I am transcendental, let's see. Show me. And who said that Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya and Brahmana cannot be transcendental? They can transcend their Varna. How? By surrendering to Krishna. But the varna will not change. The motivation will change, and that makes the whole thing the transcendental. Sometimes people misunderstand. I have to change my body, I have to change, everything. No, it's not possible. Not possible. I'm a Brahmana. Yeah, I think I'm a Brahmana. Yeah, I'm a Brahmana. It's very easy to test him. You go, I don't think so. You look like a Shudra. What do you mean? He will ready to punch you in the nose. Oh, well, that's not a Brahmana, isn't it? Brahmana will never have that impulse to attack you. In a time of critics, he will just ask you why you are thinking like that. He will seek your knowledge and your realizations. Maybe it's not so bad. And if you cannot explain it, that you are the idiot. So Brahmanas they just seek knowledge. Anybody else, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, they have the tendency to act on emotional impulse. Brahmanas don't do that, therefore sometimes they look quite cold and quite not loving, not very much loving, because they seek knowledge. They are very loving, but on another level. So we need reference. That's the reason we accept spiritual master. To ask him. I give you an example. One Mataji writes to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, now I am really fallen. I am sick all the time. I cannot do proper devotional service. Prabhupada's answer is, who told you you are fallen? You are just sick. And Prabhupada indicates that may make you, the pain, can make you even more surrender to Krishna. Sometimes we advocate people to get sick so they become more devotional. No. But Prabhupada said, so can you imagine how inspired that Mataji was? Because she was thinking, I'm falling down. Prabhupada said, not at all. You are just sick. So we need such a reference to get rid of our own personal false ego-based concepts. So this is important. That's the reason why we accept spiritual master. That's the reason we are following authority. Otherwise, why should we do that? Why should we have an authority? Why? If you don't take any advice, what's the use? Or instruction. It's simple. But it's a gradual way of research. You will act according to varna one way or another. It's uncompromising. It will force you. I want to stay like Romanchita my whole life. I cannot do that. I couldn't. I failed. I had to make a compromise. And I hated that. I didn't want to do that. I want to be like him. I want to stand there with 100 years old man with saffron on the street like this. Hello. He looks like this. So he looks like he came down from Himalaya and he's distributing some books. So I like to be like him. No. I am like this. What can I do? I couldn't change it. And I was fighting. You cannot imagine how I was fighting. And all my godbrothers were going, I'm not so happy anymore. I'm going, I'm very happy. Uncompromising. And I saw examples of devotees who insist to keep the wrong position, which is good for somebody else, but not for them. And they all fell down. At worst, at best, their preaching became completely ineffective. Because people can sense this is hypocrisy, not real. People know when you are nasty, when you are envious, They are experts. I mean, come on, they are professionals. They know you are also a little bit envious and you are lusty, isn't it? Yeah. Ladies, they know exactly who is accessible and who not. They have equipment for that. I don't know how they know that, but they know. There is a little weak spot. We can squeeze in. They know that. Poor brahmacharis in Kali Yuga, when you have these wild women everywhere, going, I'm very interested in spiritual life. Could you please enlighten me more personally? It's personal, right? Privately. Huh? And then you come into the vacuum cleaner range, they suck you in, vlip. And you may still think, well, I'm preaching. I'm preaching. No, you are already mushed up, sucked in. We saw it happening in action. Sorry, I'm quoting just reality, okay? And everybody screams, bravo, be careful, you are in a vacuum cleaner. They sucked you in. No, I'm just preaching to this poor, very special soul. I have to save her. Yeah, okay. We knew the end. So Maya is like that. So we need reference, guardians. We need protectors. We need protection. And Krishna is very eager to protect us, but he says in the Bhagavad Gita, I cannot be approached directly. I can be only approached through the Guru. That's his condition. Now, I don't want to go more in detail. I know this is a hot issue, okay? But a real disciple and really Guru relationship is based on protection. How protection? One is listening, the other one is guarding. It's like children. So in the eyes of the Guru, we are always like a child. And the Guru is always a father, eternal father. We are always inferior, he is always superior, regardless of our spiritual advancement. Well, that's a pretty high standard for... I don't want to go more into it, but the result will show. And why is Guru can protect? Because he's protected. It's a Guru Parampara of protection, coming down. So he can be very bold. I can protect you. Why? Because I'm protected. Why? Look how my Guru is protecting me. So you can join in, I will protect you. That's called Guru Parampara. And anything else is, I don't know, I think, I feel, I should do this. Well, you think, you feel, that can change again. Maya is expert, she's really good. She will make you think and feel, and you think, yeah, that's it, I should do that. Yeah, that's it, I know that. I feel it in the heart, I should do that. And you can do the most stupid thing you ever did in my life. So one should be always alert, always on guard, seeking reference before one moves, like this. I was lucky. The first, you could call it, the first 35 years in Krishna consciousness, I didn't make one single move before the approval of the authority. You can call me brainwashed, you can call me whatever you want. I didn't move 1 inch. They gave me even a wife, that? More like instruction. I was not planning to have a wife. but I needed a wife. I mean, this is your brahmacharya, there's no need to explain this. I hope it doesn't happen to you. I'm not regretting that. It was a great seminar, incredible. I was yesterday in a big program, very nice program actually. There was not much of brahmacharis, but you were there. But you look around, well, you were probably the only saffron-colored person sitting there, isn't it? Everybody was like, blah, 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 blah. And I speak a lot about these grihastha issues because that's the audience. And they were very much in it, They were like, I know this. This is a piece of reality. He's right. I know this. Why? Because they lived through this. I could not, you cannot do that. You have the Shastric experience of family life. That you can read. Not very encouraging, by the way, but that you can give. I had a practical experience. They cannot argue with that. Difficult. Amongst brahmacharis, I can say that, but if you want to have a seminar on horrors on Grihastha Ashrama, I can really be detailed, The young Grihastha goes, well, he's not so encouraging. He's pessimistic. Maybe he got a bad experience. The older Grihasthas, they go, yeah, he's right. Welcome to the club, Simple. How could I do that? I couldn't do that if I wouldn't have been married. So this is, practical. Why was Prabhupada so convincing? Well, he was a pure devotee. Describing Prabhupada, you wouldn't know where to start. It's such an amazing personality. But you could also find in his preaching, he was a grihastha. He knew. He knew very well. So that later on was discovered. He really knows what he's talking about. Money, business, Prabhupada was expert. I couldn't talk about this, I have no idea. I'm very bad with money. Prabhupada, expert. Couldn't cheat Prabhupada, no way. He was laughing, he said, I'm coming from the poor India. And you are the big Americans. I have to teach you how not to lose money. This is ridiculous. You are the big Americans, you should know. I'm the poor Indian. But you couldn't cheat Prabhupada, impossible. There are stories I could tell you endless, how expert Prabhupada was in management, with money, everything. How is it possible? He was living it. Not all acharyas are like that. That doesn't diminish their greatness at all. But Prabhupada had these qualities also. I mean, amazing person. He was so all around, perfect. You need this equipment to spread a movement all over the world, Therefore he did it. Even amongst the acharyas, there is a book from Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, fantastic trilogy books, Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada. I can only recommend it. Why? There is over 5,000 quotes from Prabhupada. It's like a dictionary, It's such a work of love. It's completely illustrating Prabhupada's personality from all points of view. Just based on a Shastra. Describing boldly Prabhupada as being exceptional even amongst the acharyas. Nobody did what he did. Really taking Krishna consciousness all over the world. In the Krishna was mostly confined to India. There was attempts already go west, but didn't work so good. Prabhupada was the one who spread it all around. Now you can go anywhere. Was there ever Krishna consciousness in Portugal? I don't think so. I know a little bit of a history of Portugal, but Portugal was once upon a time a very powerful nation. They had colonies, isn't it? Portuguese colonies. But since my best friend in Sweden is from Portugal, I know a little bit about the history. And there is even a, difference between Portuguese and Swedish and Spanish. Spanish were colonizing. Portuguese were more trading. They were not so aggressive and not so abusive in their colonies like the Spanish. Spanish did horrible things. They were just, wiping out whole nations. Portuguese were more like, you sell me this, I sell you that. And of course, then Portugal was dictatorship for quite a while. No? My friend, he immigrated from Portugal. He was a brilliant student in a university, best. But there was a danger he will be drafted to army and had to fight in Congo or whatever, in Africa, in some colony, for protecting the colony. Like Vietnam. So instead of that, he decided, I should go to some very remote place. So he escaped. He was actually students, they call them to army. So he escaped all the way to Sweden, even North Sweden, which is even more remote. Polar circle, Portuguese in Sweden is really funny. And just to be sure, they don't come. But it's a genius devotee, unbelievable devotee. It's just expert in so many fields, And so now he's living in South Sweden, very close where I stay usually. And to meet this person is always amazing. I always learn something. As soon as I meet him, I'm learning something. And he's not even that Portuguese. Because his own relatives, I met his relatives in Portugal, they said he was always another leak. He was not part of the family. That's a devotee. Anyway, this is just an example. But back to the real point, what you said, it's a very good question. Very relevant question. How do we know? Well, ideally, we should ask a spiritual master. And if this is not available, we experiment, You try this, you try that, until you click into something more long-term. The experimentation, sometimes it's too, like that. You will be amazed, even a spiritual master, who should know what is the best for the disciple, okay? But he also knows one thing. The disciple is not ready to accept it yet. So, he blesses him to experiment. Try this. Try that. Just waiting until the disciple realizes he really has to surrender. No more experiments. And then the instruction comes. So some experiment is also there, in frame of devotional service. Why not? Until it becomes distinctively clear that you should serve Krishna best in this capacity. In this varna, along that varna is your ashrama. All this ultimately has to fit to stay steady in Krishna consciousness. I cannot say more regarding yourself. I don't know you, but if you are serious, there's always a help. There's a serious help for serious devotees, and there is a phony help for phony devotees. Simple. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I reveal myself accordingly as you surrender. So Krishna is revealing himself according to sincerity. And it is a symptom of a sincere devotee that he is always seeking reference. We have to find our way, our position. It takes a little while, sometimes. I saw it in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes I got the idea, I am like this. I was corrected by material energy and by my authorities. It's two slaps, Pak, pak. And I was back on track again. I mean, there's people asking me, how is it possible you could say 54 years in Krishna consciousness like this? Well, depends who is asking, I have a different answers for that. But here I can say very boldly, I got the right slaps on the right time. Right place. Just pop, pop. So I stay, on the track. It was slapping, yeah. It was not feeling good, no. I wanted to be this, slap. I had to be that. So, and I'm grateful to all those who slapped me. They were my well-wishers. You cannot imagine what I got to hear. Oh, whoa. I end up serving in Sweden. Even as a kami, I hated to go north. I was going, all this blue-eye people, no facial expression, Hey, yeah, tak. You think, ooh. I knew they are there. It's exactly the place I end up living in. By my desire, I want to go south, rather than historical Italians or Portugal. I always thought, what is this? This is some kind of small country there, the edge. But I was in Portugal by the mercy of my friend. I liked that. People are, very outgoing. Was going, must be quite easy to distribute books here, Not very deep, not very, but they talk. They express themselves, yes. That's nice. Spanish, I don't have much experience. I was only in one Spanish Sankirtan meeting. They look more edgy. But anyway, I don't have experience of Spain. Italy, I have experience. Yeah. I just, and sometimes you think, whoa. I think it was Indradyumna Swami, whoever, he told them he calls them cold Bengalis or something. Bengalis are also just, you think, oh no, now they will kill each other. No, they have just a good morning conversation. People are like that. Italy also is just, it's like boom. They think, wow, something big is happening. No, nothing is happening. They're just talking. Depends also where you are. Lombardia, up there in the north, they are like. In Sicily and down there, this is again very different. A simple countryside people. There's just goats, many goats. Nothing grows. It's just stone and goats. So anyway, so there are different regions with different people, and so we need guidance, we need protection. And why don't we get it? Because we don't want it. Kali Yuga is like, my opinion, I'm here. So many leaders in Kali Yuga and no followers. What do they say in Croatia? One Croatian, one party. Well, difficult to make a movement out of this. But what can you do? We have to overcome that nature and pray to Krishna We need a leader. We need a real leader. Prabhupada said, without a leader, nothing works. It's completely common sense. Even the anarchistic, anti-leader people have a leader. You know, he is the biggest anarchist. It's always like that. You cannot avoid it. That the question is, what kind of leader? The question is, what is the quality of a leader? All this. There's big discussions amongst devotees on this platform. And sometimes interesting discussion. Should we have a local leader or imported leader? Just yesterday I had a discussion like this. But the quality depends on quality of Krishna consciousness, isn't it? Yes, but I was working only under imported leaders. There was no local leaders actually in the beginning. Of course, every leader was imported because there was no local leaders. Today we have a different situation. Today we have a devotees who know. And you know what is this based on? Lord Chaitanya says, there where you are, you should become Krishna conscious and a leader. This is Lord Chaitanya talking. There where you are. Why? Because you know the people. Prahlad Maharaj became the leader of the demons, made them Krishna conscious, because he was born among the demons. But I'm not saying this is 100% rule like that. Prabhupada obviously was sending devotees everywhere, but there was nobody. Now we have somebody everywhere. I mean, just imagine I would be leader in Portugal. I may like the people, but I don't know anything about the way they act, and every nation has their own codes, how they act and this. Some nation I know more close because I regularly come and I'm just watching what are they doing. But I know. I'm born in Czech, Slovakia previous, Czech Republic now. I know Czechs. I know them so well. And they know me. Czech is a little bit like Portugal. You can stand on a bus station, waiting for the bus. There's an old lady standing next to you. And before the bus comes, you know everything about her. That the doctor said, and the dog ran away, and the weather is bad, and and how she feels, and all this, and she will just talk to you. Isn't it? Portugal is also like that, isn't it? Yeah, I saw it. I was going, hey, it's like Czech. She will just talk to you, and you go, oh, this is, and you go, yeah, this is very serious. And then you will go in a bus, and you will never see it again. But people are like that. They're sharing. This is very good for Krishna consciousness. This is a base. I was in Portugal for 3 months. I was thinking I will learn Portuguese. I know a few languages, but not the Latino type, I would like to learn the Latino type. Maybe I will still learn Portuguese, I don't know. But I'm not there, so it's not need. Croatian, I can learn very fast. I already start to understand what they are talking here because I'm from Czech. The Slavian language, very similar. Sometimes whole sentences, everything comes out identical. I go, yeah, I could learn Croatian. I just learned by hearing, So, very useful for preaching. And the dynamics of the preaching are also local. That I couldn't comment upon, but it would be fun to come to Lisbon. I always like to learn about things, How are they doing here in Krishna consciousness? But maybe I will find again in Lisbon, I don't know, but in Europe, you go to a Hare Krishna temple, Germany. Well, It's the same thing everywhere I go. Half of the people is Russian and another one comes from Ukraine and the rest is Indian, and that's it. You go, hey, I saw this one before. And it's always the same thing. These people don't belong there. They came for various purposes, but they don't belong there. And you will get to feel it. There's a whole Russian Hare Krishna movement in Germany. The German devotees have no idea about. No, because they are connected to Moscow and St. Petersburg. Internet and, German devotees go, yeah, they are here somewhere. It's big, and many. Can you do? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for coming all the way up here.
Thank you. Switch this off.
You have a way to, you go back to
Yeah, I'll go back a little later. I will speak with the devotees. I will speak with brahmacharis a little bit, and then I take bus. Yeah.
Okay. You will stay in Croatia for a while or no?
I'm visiting my parents. I will.
Parents?
Parents, yeah.
Huh?
My parents are in Zagreb, so I'm
They are
visiting
living.
them. So,
They are Portuguese?
no, I'm from Croatia.
Huh?
I'm from Croatia.
You are from Croatia, but you told me you are from Portugal.
I'm living in Portugal. I said
That's
that.
how it. Now I get it more.
Yeah.
Now I also understand more.